This video is going to be a lot different than most of our updates. We've had all of our normal ministry things going on, Zoom ministries and in-person ministries. We've been preaching the gospel, we've been teaching, and we've been discipling. We've got one lined up to baptize in a week from tomorrow, so about a week and a half from now. And so we've been doing all of that. But what I wanted to do in this video was let you know a little bit about what's going on. If you can hear, we're in a city of 11 million. There's always construction somewhere. But let you know a little bit about one of our families so that you can have a better idea of what it is that we face. And we can't really share their personal information because of the situation that we're in. So we're going to call them by some pseudonames, and we'll call them John and Jane. If I mess up, just edit it out. So I think we should start back in Pakistan. Jane was born into a Muslim family. John was born into a Christian family. And you should probably share this. Gwendolyn, I know more of the facts of things, but Gwendolyn, she knows a lot more from the wife's perspective. And it'd probably be better if you shared what happened.
So Jane grew up in a prominent Muslim family. Unlike some of the families that we have here, her father did have two wives, and her birth mother was a very devout Muslim. Her stepmom, as she calls her, had doubts about the whole Muslim religion, and she was the one who actually took Jane to church. There were different things that led up to her going away from the religion of Islam, and she met John, and he filled in some of the blanks on what she had questions about. And because he was Christian and she was Muslim, in Pakistan that's not allowed, so they were able to find a Christian church that the pastor would marry them. And after they got married, she began to teach a Sunday school class. And the Sunday school class actually would go through the week. It's more of a Bible study. And she did have Muslim kids that would come and listen from the village because their parents had things to do. That was also a school, so they were learning and had education classes as well. But then on Sundays, she would tell them not to come because it was Sunday school for the church, and she was afraid it would cause a problem. And at the time, she was about 25 years old. And one Sunday, two Muslim children came to her class, and then they went home and told their parents about what had been taught at school that day. And during the course of that Sunday, she went out of town to visit some relatives, and her husband was at home, and he said there was all kinds of commotion outside of the house, and he opened the door to see what was the problem, and they started yelling at him about his wife, that she was a blasphemer and that she was a wicked, horrible person. And they pulled him out of the house and pretty much almost beat him to death.
Yeah.
There were people that took him to the hospital, and they called Jane to let her know what was going on, and she was going to go back, and they said, no, they're looking for you. In English, what they were yelling at her husband was, we are going to separate your wife's head from her body and do the same to you. So she stayed at her relative's house until it was okay for her to go back several days later. And the mosque in their town made an announcement that made it legal for anyone to behead either one of them any place wherever they see them. So they were able to, through a different organization, through the church she was working in, they were able to get them out of Pakistan into Thailand, and this was about 2 years ago. And they've just been, like all the rest of our families, trying to stay low, not get arrested. And she has high blood pressure, sugar, diabetes, kind of the thing that goes along with being Pakistani. But she has just about a month ago had her fourth miscarriage. And this couple is just, emotionally, they're still so bad off. And, it's just trying to help them and pray for wisdom and how to deal with this situation. But this past week, John was at the market, and he did get arrested and taken to the detention center. And that's where I'll
Yeah.
pass it off.
So I'll back up a little from when they arrive. So when Pakistani Christians arrive in Thailand, they go to the United Nations and apply for asylum. Then the United Nations takes up their case. So in their particular case, they were granted refugee status really quickly because it was irrefutable, undeniable. If they go back to Pakistan, they're going to be killed. So they became refugees, but it still takes the United Nations about 7 or 8 years to move them to another country. So in the meantime, after 30 days, their visas expire. Thailand is getting better, but still, there is no excuse for not having a current visa in Thailand. It doesn't matter to them that if you go back to your country, you're going to be beheaded. You cannot be in country without a visa, and they are unable to extend their visa. They're unable to get a visa. So they overstayed their visa. So they hide out. They don't go out any more than they have to, but he was at the market and got arrested by immigration police, and they took him straight to a place called the Immigration Detention Center. So she's back at the house. All she knew is that he'd been arrested. When I say house, I mean teeny tiny little apartment they live in. So she called me and let me know what's going on. We started praying about it. Long story short, he is in the Immigration Detention Center, and he will be there until he goes back to Pakistan, or 7 or 8 years when the United Nations moves him to another country. She will be unemployed and unable to provide for herself because was finding some work here and there. Oops. Did I say his name?
Yeah, I'll edit that out.
Did I just say it once?
You just said it once.
Okay. John was able to find some work in some places and provide for his wife, but now that he's arrested in an IDC, he's not able to. So
They have been granted refugee status by the UN.
Yes.
But Thailand doesn't recognize that enough to not send them back at this point.
They still have to have a visa. And so now that he's been arrested in the Immigration Detention Center, there is a way to pay a fine and pay bail, and he can come out for 3 years, and then he can reapply for bail again after 3 years. But the cost of all of that is about, just under $2,000 US. So along with all the other things that have happened to this family, about 3 months ago, she was assaulted and went to the police station, pressed charges, and a man is now in prison, and she has to appear in court in February and face an individual that assaulted her. And that's probably the nicest way I can say what happened to her. And so with all that's going on with this family, Glenn and I, we just decided we don't have the money to pay the bail, but we've committed to doing that, and so we're taking money from the budget 2 weeks from now, and we're paying their bail. He should come out of IDC in about a week or so, and at that time, probably about 10 days maybe, he should come out after and this is all legal paperwork is filed, all of the fines are paid, and the bail is posted. They'll do the paperwork and they'll release him. And after that, I'll make another video. But like I say, we don't have the budget to do this kind of thing. It's $2,000 out of our budget in a month. And so if you're able to help with that, you would like to, you can just answer the email the same old way that people have been helping us all along the way. I just wanted you all to know a lot of the battles that we face are not just spiritual. We do face all of those, but there's physical, emotional, there's psychological issues. And as missionaries, we've rarely had to deal with all of those things, but in this ministry we do. We really need your prayers. The last 2 weeks have been very difficult for us health-wise, and just been kind of wore down. And so we appreciate it, and super excited to be here and doing what we're doing and loving every minute of it. It is challenging, and we need your prayers, and we sure appreciate your financial support as well. And until next week, God bless you.